With another season of Dandadan comes another mesmerizing opening theme song. We've gone from the viral duo, Creepy Nuts, to the former punk rock idol, AiNA THE END. But unlike Creepy Nuts, who most anime fans would have already known thanks to one of the most listened to anime songs ever, Bling Bang Bang Born. AiNA THE END as a solo artist wasn't as widely recognized until Dandadan Season 2. However, while people may not have known her name back then, she was a member of BiSH, one of the most popular alternative idol groups during its peak. In this video, I'm gonna introduce you to the voice behind Dandadan's new OP, AiNA THE END, how her solo career blossomed, and an anecdote about how the genius behind the Chainsaw Man OP, Yonezu Kenshi, changed her as a singer. AiNA is a former member of BiSH, a popular punk rock idol group, active from 2015 to 2023. They were highly regarded in the Japanese entertainment industry for their music and the members' unique characteristics, which defied the image of mainstream idol groups. For anime fans, BiSH is most likely known for performing the second OP of Black Clover, Painted Black. I've never mentioned this on the channel before, but BiSH used to be my favorite Japanese artist, and AiNA was actually my favorite member. I even got 2 albums autographed by her. I won't spend too much time talking about BiSH as a group, because they deserve their own video, but I must mention one of AiNA's most iconic live performances in the group's history, My Landscape. If you're not familiar with BiSH but enjoy AiNA's solo works or simply like the new Dandadan OP, I strongly recommend you check out BiSH. As the main vocal and choreographer of BiSH, AiNA was often considered the face of the group and one of its most popular members. She's known for her explosive vocals and that mesmerizing husky, raspy voice, which you have just experienced. But despite her obvious talent in singing and dancing, AiNA also demonstrated an affinity for songwriting early in her career, as showcased by her 2018 solo debut with a self-written song, AiNA. However, since the group was rapidly growing in popularity and performing in bigger and bigger venues, she never had much time to develop her solo career until COVID came along. In 2020, AiNA performed the cover of 痴迷的八字 by her favorite singer, Shinaringo, on a popular TV program. The performance was well received and gave her exposure to an entirely new audience, one that normally wouldn't listen to BiSH. But more importantly, it prompted the legendary Shinaringo herself to handpick AiNA to perform alongside her in the cover of Gunjo Biori. Then, in January 2021, she went on the first take to perform one of BiSH's most popular songs, Orchestra. It was around this time that she began making her name not just as a member of BiSH, but also as a solo singer-songwriter. She started by releasing her self-written and self-produced debut album in February, followed by her first solo tour, which sold out completely in a single day. I mentioned at the beginning of the video that AiNA wasn't widely recognized as a solo artist. That's because even though many people have heard of BiSH, being as big as they were, it's unlikely they knew the individual members. But she did have one advantage that no other singers do, an existing fanbase from day one. Her music is quite different from BiSH, so you can't expect the entire fanbase to carry over, but whether they like it or not is their decision. What's important is that whenever AiNA makes new music, there are always hundreds of thousands of fans eager to listen. And that's not something many singers have just a few years into their solo career. Now her path leading up to Dandadan wasn't always smooth. In 2023, only 3 months before BiSH's final concert, AiNA got into a serious accident during work, which led to 10 internal and 20 external stitches on her forehead. Fortunately, there were no lingering issues, and she was able to resume activity within the month, just in time for her to see the release of her first anime song, Red Birthmark, for The Witch from Mercury. Later that year, she released her second anime song, Aikotoba for the Apothecary Diaries. On June 29, 2023, BiSH held its final concert, marking the end of one of the most influential idol groups ever, and the beginning of AiNA's second act. And that brings us to the interesting anecdote involving Yonezu Kenshi. Since around 2021, as it became clear that BiSH was coming to an end, AiNA started to worry about her identity as a solo artist. BiSH was known for its punk rock, edgy, and rebellious attitude, but once that was gone, how was she going to stand out? As a result, she began changing the way she sings to create her own personal brand. Now, there's no doubt that AiNA has incredible natural talent as a singer. She might not be the most skillful vocalist, but it's the rawness that makes her such a captivating performer. So when she started to focus more on forcing things instead of singing naturally, there were a few years when some of her performances became less enjoyable. One example is her excessive use of a technique where she cracks her voice intentionally. It sounds great occasionally, but there were times when she decided to use it every other line, and it became quite tiring to listen to. Fast forward to 2024, Yonezu Kenshi released his first full album in 4 years, and AiNA THE END was the only featured artist. Turns out, Yonezu had been wishing to collaborate with her for a long time due to his admiration for her voice and style. When recording in the studio, the only request Yonezu made to AiNA was to sing freely. He told her that if she could just be herself without forcing anything, her identity and personal brand would fall into place naturally. And without the try-hard element, it makes the song a lot easier for listeners to enjoy. The suggestion was an epiphany for AiNA. She had been worrying about how to stand out without BiSH, but she forgot that her success came from simply being her natural self all along. BiSH gave her the freedom to be authentic without the constraints of a traditional idol, and fans loved her for it, so all she really had to do was to keep being herself. Which brings us to 2025, when AiNA was chosen to provide the theme song for Dandadan Season 2. I was genuinely surprised when she made the announcement, because even though I know she has the talent, being a massive fan of hers, anime shows of this level usually choose more mainstream or established singers. You look at some of the biggest anime songs recently, they're all performed by top Japanese artists like Yonezu Kenshi, CreepyNuts, YOASOBI, and Yorushika. Even the highly anticipated Takobi's Original Sin got Ano to perform its OP. Now BiSH would have fit Dandadan's tone perfectly, but AiNA herself hasn't quite reached that level of mainstream status. So why was she chosen? Remember what I said about BiSH being highly regarded in the industry? Well, since AiNA was pretty much the face of the group, and the major reason why their music was so unique, she actually has a lot of fans who are fellow musicians and actors. When two of the most influential musicians in modern J-pop, Shina Ringo and Yonezu Kenshi, publicly praised her talent and asked to work with her, there's no better validation. And that's the reason why she was chosen. She may not be the most well-known singer in Japan, and even less so internationally, but the respect she garners within the music industry is something most singers can only dream of. And hopefully, with On the Way seemingly becoming a breakout hit for her, fans around the world will also recognize the name AiNA THE END. This has been Cushion. See you next time.